Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
No horse gets anywhere until he's harnessed. No stream or gas ever drives anything until it is confined. No Niagara ever turned light or power until it is tunneled. And no life ever grows great unless it is focused, dedicated, and disciplined. Amen. Good morning, everybody. On a Monday, here comes Kate Smith. And God bless America, followed by a Patriot. Come on, Patriots, call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and of course with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And of course they've got a great big fall tire sale going on right now. Better get in there today. And some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's get back to our patriotism on this program with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a happy Columbus Day to you.
And back at you, my
Thank
friend.
you. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless. Thank you. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, on this Columbus Day, it's time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. My goodness, they've got all the excavators and they've got all the tillers for the gardens. You want to rip them up before the fall and winter hits. Well, the fall's here, but the ground hasn't frozen yet, so you better get out and get to work. All of this and more, the best tools and equipment, and they're right there at K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn, and the number to call, 678-3122. Right now, here's the weather.
We're in a frost warning for this morning, and, of course, we're expecting some rain showers in the forecast this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for us up at the ranch. For this Columbus Day Monday, we are in a frost warning that is going to be in effect until about 10 o'clock this morning. Other than that, looks like sunny skies for today. High at 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Tomorrow, in come the rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. We are expecting a high of 53. Those rain showers are going to continue for tomorrow night. The winds are going to be picking up. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. We're expecting a low of 35. By Wednesday, 40% chance of showers in the forecast, mostly in the morning time, mostly cloudy skies, and we're expecting a high of 52, 20% chance of rain showers for Wednesday night with a low of 33. Then by Thursday, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of sunshine and expecting a high of 52. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my goodness. Sounds like it's going to be a little gnarly over the next couple of days. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental, and they've got also the compressors to blow out those sprinkler lines, so be sure and get a hold of Roger and the crew today, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Wow, Columbus Day. No, we're not going to call it Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm going to call it the way it is, the way I think it should be, and rightfully Columbus Day. That's how we're going to say it and keep it. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to liberalize it and go with Indigenous Peoples Day. No, it's Columbus Day 2018. Don't forget our friends also at Daryl's Cleaners. My goodness sakes, these are good people. And they can clean anything, restore a lot of items, and believe me, they can even do your washing. What? Yes, that's true. They can even do your washing. If you don't have time, they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mom did. All you have to do is stop in and talk to them today at Daryl's Cleaners. Kevin and Cindy and the whole outfit really serving you, serving the key word. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Really good folks. And naturally, when I talk about good folks, I got to talk about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Wow. 6 decades. Think about that. They've been in business for 6 decades, serving you with the best of everything you need for your heating, cooling, and electrical, like I said a moment ago. And believe me, they get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday to serve you. Service the key word from them, too. Excellent people, Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Wow. If you can kick anything, like maybe a tin can across the highway, or maybe kick, let's say an old rock or whatever, the NFL is looking for you. Wow. The kickers, the NFL Placekickers, with absolutely all the talent in the world to put that football through the uprights, they're not having that happen. Some of the best kickers, like Mason Crosby yesterday for the Green Bay Packers, missed 4 field goals and an extra point for a total of 13 points, and Green Bay could have won that game with someone that could put the ball through the uprights. So I don't know what's going on. And there were other games and other teams where the kickers absolutely, man, they might as well have stayed out in the parking lot in their car and listened to music during the whole game. I could not believe it. Worst bunch of kickers I have ever seen or heard of. Cleveland had trouble kicking. Other teams had trouble kicking. Holy smoke. So if you can kick anything, I would suggest you go to the phone and you try to get the number for any one of the NFL teams and apply for a job as a kicker. They need somebody that can kick through the uprights. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Denny's Restaurant. Be right with you, caller. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and the other location, excuse me, at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. For your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner, all the great menu choices. And that menu, oh my goodness, just chock full of all kinds of things to pick from. It's a hard decision to make. They all look so good, and they are. At America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Great staff serving you. Thomas and the crew really want to make sure that your dining there is a great experience at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and you'll just really enjoy the food. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I also want to give acknowledgments to some really good people that know their business and can help you with your health. Who am I talking about? Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The number to call, and I urge you to write this down, 678-1191. Now, Nick Greenwell and all of the physical therapists, they really, really know all the exercises, and they've got the use of that hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind around. And, man, it's something you need to do if you're suffering from maybe coming back from an accident or surgery or whatever, bumps and bruises. They can help. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. And that number again, 678-1191. Caller, a good morning to you.
And a good one to you, my friend.
How are you, Keith?
Last week, or whenever it was, we had Lunch Bunch, and you made the announcement we were going to have a Halloween contest.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, hoo-hoo, another thing. And then, just recently, I woke up, and I decided I'm going to win that contest.
Okay.
No holds barred. I'm out to win it.
Well,
All you people who are thinking about it, you better be prepared.
There you go. All right, well, we're going to have the best costume and the best mask contest, and it's going to be on October 25th, Lunch Bunch on the 25th, and it's our Halloween Lunch Bunch, and we'll have some grand prizes for the best costume and the best mask, and I hope you win. I hope you kind of entice everybody to get involved and have some fun with it.
Well, thank you very much for that little boost there, but
All right.
I want to warn Jerry and Doug and all the others there that think they're going to win this. I'm sorry for them.
Okay.
Because the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cottam. It's good to hear from you, and we'll look forward to any kind of a costume that you have on for that Halloween costume contest at Denny's on, of course, the 25th for our Lunch Bunch. Good to have you back on the air. Thanks, Keith.
Okay, one other thing.
Yes, Ben. Yes, sir. Yes,
There's
sir.
only two people that know about this, me and my wife.
Oh.
And she is not a leaker.
Okay. Well, okay.
Have a wonderful day.
I will, my friend. Thank you very, very much. Oh, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, tomorrow at 9:46, it's Stoats Equipment Ag Minutes. Your John Deere dealer, Stoats Equipment Company at 119 Overland and Burley, and Vic and the whole staff. And I'm telling you, they got some wonderful, wonderful people working there serving you at Stoats Equipment Company. They make your life easier at Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer. Don't forget that. What a weekend. I got to tell you that I was riveted whatever time I could to come in and watch the television coverage of what was happening with the Kavanaugh ordeal. Well, it's not over. Tonight at 7 p.m., just kind of a gratuitous ceremony to sign him in, swear him in as a Chief Justice on the Supreme Court. But the Democrats and the left, the very sleazy left, they are going to keep this going, this revolution, this hate, this evil going. And I talked to a lot of people this weekend, about what their thoughts were about what the left is going to do, or they are afraid the left is going to do. And a lot of people are afraid that it's going to turn into violence. A lot of people are afraid that with the threats, I couldn't believe some of this stuff. Like, let me get this story right here. Colorado Senator Cory Gardner's wife received a violent text message of a beheading, and following a note that they're going to get her and her husband, and there's even been some of the left that have threatened some of these politicians' families, their kids. What is going on here? I'm really concerned that the left, the Democrats, have lost their minds. And evil has replaced what semblance of sanity they had. Threats of murder, threats of beheading, And violence against Maine Senator Susan Collins, pardon me. By the way, Susan Collins, she has not been in the past someone that you really wanted to listen to, or someone that you really paid attention to when she was on the Senate floor talking or giving a speech, or if she was interviewed by a newscast. But wow, I'm going to stop right there, underline the word wow. Absolutely, what a wonderful, absolute poignant speech she gave in why she was going to vote for Brett Kavanaugh. A yes. She went through, I think it was about 48 minutes long. And I don't have time to sit and listen to 48-minute speeches. I was riveted. I was riveted with the way that she laid out her case. And it was absolutely so well done. And she went through issue after issue, article after article as to why she was going to vote for Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court. And anybody with any common sense at all could have followed what she said and understood in her very eloquent fashion the voting for Brett Kavanaugh. Wow. And I give her nothing but kudos. Nothing but kudos. But, this is what's interesting. The left, including Susan Rice from the Obama administration, remember little Susie the liar about Benghazi and everything else? Well, she said she might run against Susan Collins for the Senate seat of Maine. The left is going to do anything they can to try to disrupt and take away any semblance of power of people that are doing the right thing. Whew. I'll tell you what, radical terrorists on the left and some of the fears that are coming across my desk and some of the things that they're saying, some of the things that they're doing, some of the plans that they've got. If they win the House back, if the Democrats win the House back, I'm telling you folks, not only are we as conservatives in trouble, and our families, and our children, and their future, but this country, with its Constitution values, everything is at risk. And Nancy Pelosi, pardon me, wants the FBI report that they did on number 7 for Brett Kavanaugh. She wants that made public. Now, Nancy, I know this might come as a shock to you, but it was your boy that wanted this all kept serious, or I should say secretive, and that was Barack Obama. Barack Obama, when he was in power, he made an edict that these types of reports should never go to the public, and they should remain only for the eyes of senators in a no-tell type verbiage. Well, Nancy Pelosi said, oh no, we need to make these documents public because this report absolutely must have something in it that the Republicans and Brett Kavanaugh don't want the public to see. They won't quit. You have to ask yourself, and I mean this when I say this, you have to ask yourself for you, your family, and your community, do you want people like Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Booker, Schumer, the rest of them back in power controlling you and changing and transitioning our Constitution? You have to ask yourself that question. I urge you to go vote in November. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. Good friend of mine. I haven't talked to him for a long time, and I'll tell you what, it was really a treat to hear from him and some of the great things they've got going on over at Jerome Producers Livestock Marketing Association over in Jerome. Dan Schiffler, and he said that they're going to have a special feeder cattle sale coming up on Saturday, October 20th at high noon, 12 p.m. It's going to be choice cattle only, no dairy or dairy cross cattle. And call for consignment information. And what you need to do is call Producers Livestock over in Jerome. Dan Schiffler, call him at 539-4933 or call the office at 324-4345. Really ripping good special feeder cattle sale coming up on Saturday, October 20th at Jerome Producers Livestock. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again.
Well, hello, sunshine.
Happy face. Okay, here's what the deal is. This weekend, I was talking to a good friend of mine who happens to be a Democrat, and he told me right out, he said, what the Democratic Party has done, I'm ashamed of. And I believe that he will vote for Republicans. And I think it's no little antic, it's a big antic that the Democrats have put on is going to hurt them big time. And I think America will become great again if we'll just get in there and vote.
Well, you know something I had last week on the program, Dr. Gerard Lamero. He's been on my program many, many times. He's written quite a few books. One of his predictions was that this is going to be the last nail in the coffin for the Democratic Party. The way they've treated this situation, the way they've acted in such an absolute negative and foul manner, he honestly thinks it's the demise of the Democratic Party, and I hope he is right.
Well, I don't think we're going to win over all of them, but the ones who are moderate people, who are sincere in what they say and what they do, they're going to go for the Republicans. But these people who are got so much hate in them, no, they're not ever going to come over, and I don't know what's going to happen to them.
I've never seen the hatred and vitriol like I have over the last couple of months. I mean, my goodness, these threats of beheadings and violence and beatings and murder because they didn't get their way. Keith, this is absolutely sick. This is chaotic.
Oh, and it's unreal. We're not that kind of a country. We don't do these things.
Well, you better tell it to some on the left then, because they didn't get the memo. I got to run, Keith. I got another call. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Caller number 2, I'm going to ask you to just stay there for a quick second. I've got to get this commercial in, and I'll take you next, I promise. Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Oh, these are good people over there at all 3 locations. Burley at 159 West Highway 30 with Juan, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls with Eli, and the Nampa location. Holy moly, they got a great deal on Bobcats. 0% interest for 60 months on the Bobcats. You better check it out today. All the equipment rentals and all the retail equipment sales at Barry Equipment and Rental. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. Barry Equipment and Rental. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Deb. This is the Yummy Man with the menu for the Senior Junction for today on South Overland. The best value in lunch anywhere in the Mini-Cassia area. Today we're having meatloaf, mashed taters and gravy, mixed vegetables, green salad, and chocolate cake with yummy frosting.
Chocolate cake with yummy frosting from the Yummy Man.
We also have takeout lunches. Anybody's welcome to call and order lunch, and you can pick it up at about noon. We serve lunches there from 12 to 1. So we need need your participation to help us with the senior show.
I tell you what, the Senior Junction on Oberlin with the yummy man, our friend, your friend, Joe Taylor. Joe, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate
All right.
what you do for us.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Okay, I'm going to give away a dozen cookies right now. Oh, boy, I can't wait to do this. And I'm going to ask you a little tougher question this morning on our trivia contest. And if you win, you'll get a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. What a bakery. Oh, delicious. All the pies and the cakes and the wedding cakes and the cookies. Oh, my goodness. And a great restaurant. All located at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. And here's the question for the first person to call in with the right answer at 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587. On the TV show I Love Lucy, everybody's seen I Love Lucy. What was Lucy's maiden last name? Think about that now. On the TV show I Love Lucy, what was Lucy's maiden last name before she married Ricky Ricardo? What was her maiden name? First person to call in with the right answer is going to win a dozen cookies. So give us a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Holy cow. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, McGillicuddy.
Who is this?
It's Chris Fox.
Well, I got to tell you what, I thought I was asking a tough question, but you just kind of blew that right out of the water. You had the answer in less than 30 seconds.
I want you to know that I am the biggest I Love Lucy fan on the planet, so I know things.
Okay, I'll ask you another one. What floor did Ricky and Lucy live on?
Oh, I feel like it's... Is it the top floor? Would they just say the top floor?
I don't know either, Chris. I just made that up.
Well, because I know that Fred and Ethel live below that.
No, I was going to say that on one of the episodes of I Love Lucy, I thought they lived on the fourth floor of that apartment with Fred and Ethel living down below, because they had an episode on I Love Lucy where they had trouble with the furnace and they had to keep running up and down the stairs. And if I recall correctly, Ricky Ricardo and Lucy, they had to run down 4 flights of stairs to get to the furnace.
Okay, I think you're right. I'm going to give that to you. I believe that is correct.
Okay, well, with that being said, then you have to get sugar cookies, and half of them are mine. Make sure you make the delivery.
I will, Zeb, I will.
God bless. Thank you for your call.
All right, thank you, sir. Bye.
Thank you. Oh, that's right, Chris Fox. McGillicuddy. How are you ever going to forget a name? McGillicuddy. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Please do not go away. Do not pass go. Don't throw away your get-out-of-jail-free card. Minnecash Hearts for Senior at 135 East 23rd Drive in Burley with Holly Rowe. Oh, my goodness. Holly's really hit a home run on this one. If you're a senior and you want to stay at home, but maybe you need a little personal assistance with maybe meal prep or light housekeeping or maybe some personal hygiene, well, I'll tell you what, all you have to do is call them, and they can and will help you at 312-5715. 312-5715. Minnecash Hearts for Seniors. That number again with Holly, 312-5715, or go to the website, holly at heartsforseniors.net. Caller, thank you. Good morning. You're on the air.
My gosh, Seb, I listened to the radio this morning, and I swear to gosh that I was listening to some Democrat format, like the past Speaker of the House or something. He'd come on there and threaten me and threaten my family. My gosh, I just don't understand that.
He didn't threaten you.
Democrat, I think.
He issued a challenge.
Halloween costume contest.
He issued a challenge, Jerry.
Have this year, and my wife came in second place, so he got my whole family.
All right, listen to me. He issued a challenge. It wasn't anything to denigrate, but he issued a challenge knowing that you had won in the past, but basically telling you, you better bring your best game because he's going to beat you this time.
Well, I'm going to bring my best game. My wife is going to bring her best game. And I hope everybody else in that room brings their best game. And if Keith comes in a tutu, I will concede.
If Keith comes in wearing a tutu, I'm not going to concede. I'm going to leave.
I probably will, too. Okay. Anyway, I think the Democrats have gone plumb nuts on this Kavanaugh thing. It's just completely ridiculous. There was absolutely no evidence. There never has been any evidence. There are accusations by a woman who wasn't even raped, and they want to call it rape when it wasn't even rape. It's ridiculous.
There is no corroborative type story to go along and build up or shore up the very leaky stories that were permitted to be said. It was nothing more than a personality smear against a good man, his family, and his future, and I find it detestable.
And anybody that can't see through that has to be plumb blind or just absolutely no sense at all. Because if you just think about it even, it's just ridiculous. He was innocent until proven guilty. That's the way our legal system works. And there is no way on this earth in any shape or form he was, found guilty.
No. The left has got this insidious and very sleazy idea that once you are accused, then you are responsible to prove yourself innocent. That's completely twisted from what our judicial system is in this country. And I'll tell you what, all the more reason why we need to get out and vote in November, because we don't want that kind of absolutely sick thought permeated by the Democrats.
Yeah, and I seen a deal the other day on TV where Hillary was out campaigning for her audience for next year, or for the next election, not the next one, the one after.
Yeah.
When she's going to run for president, she was at some cemetery talking to the dead.
Okay, Jerry, thank you much for your call. Have a good day, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, you have a great day. And Keith, you quit threatening us young kids.
Okay.
Even though we're probably way older than you.
All right, buddy.
May the Lord bless Keith and all the audience, and I'm going to say it in particular for Keith, because he needs it real bad when he picks on me.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Take care.
You
Bye-bye.
bet. Have a good day. Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm going to back up just a minute. First of all the times you've been doing this, asking these questions about the cookies, only one time have I not known the answer, but I'm so far away and I don't get to shop over there. I'll have to call in and give them to someone else sometime. Also, Ethel was my sister-in-law, so I had kind of a tie to that program.
Wait a minute. You mean to tell me, and I forgot her name all of a sudden, the actress's name? Lillian Vance, wasn't it? Or Vivian Vance?
Oh,
Vivian Vance. That was your sister-in-law?
Yeah, she was married to my husband's brother.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, I wish you could have called in. Well, for heaven's sakes. And, of course...
God. Excuse me.
No, I was just going to say, what do you know about the production of the program and Vivian Vance and her husband on the TV series, William Frawley?
Well, not a whole lot that I'll say over the air. But it was kind of fun anyway. And then her husband, my brother-in-law, was the vice president of Putnam Publishing and Dodd Mead, and at the time of Amelia Earhart, was the pilot. He was a good friend of them also.
Oh, my.
So we got kind of a fun history there.
You know, I can say this much.
This morning, yes, I have an idea for someone for kickers. I don't know if you've seen the movie where they got a girl soccer player that was doing the kicking for them on the football team.
Mm-hmm.
And also, what about Gus the Mule? He did a good job.
Let me tell you, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful to anybody, but the way Mason Crosby of Green Bay kicked the ball yesterday, I guess the jackass that you're talking about could have done a better job.
Absolutely, and at least the girl soccer player.
Thank you for your call. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, the kicking yesterday in the NFL left so much to be desired. Oh, it was absolutely... You look up the word ugly, and that's how they kicked yesterday. Oh, my goodness. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're very proud to offer service you can trust, along with Lennox products that help keep you comfortable and save you money, possibly. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. So call them today and find out more at 678-0459 or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. Ramsey Heating and Electric, over 60 years of serving you. Caller, good morning.
Thanks, sir. Did I hear my name mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think I know what Keith is going to be coming as.
Oh, really?
One of the scariest things I know.
Uh-oh.
And that's a used car salesman.
Oh, this is getting down, dirty, and nasty.
Democrats don't have anything on us, do they?
Well, the only thing is, Doug, and I don't mean to, and Wheel's a little bit on the volume there with the gain, I don't mean to denigrate anybody that loves to wear short pants. But there is a time and a place for everything, and now that it is mid-October, don't you think it's time to chuck them in the closet?
Well, I got them on today because it's supposed to be a nice day.
It's only supposed to get up to 49.
Well, I'm probably part what you call Viking, you know, or who was it that wore those kilts and skirts? The Irish, yeah.
No, the Scottish.
Scottish, that's it.
Man, pretty soon you would have said the Czechoslovakians if I wouldn't have corrected you.
Or it could have been the native Indian with the...
Oh, Doug. You're the life of the party, and I'll tell you what, I'm anxious to see what you're going to wear as a costume.
Oh, my wife's working on it.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't talk her into wearing the one that I've picked out, but I'm trying. I'm still trying.
Well, I'll tell you what, this sounds like it's going to be a fun deal coming up on the 25th, and I just hope that we're not all arrested.
Me too, my wife. I don't know if I want to walk in there wearing something like that.
Can you imagine, seriously, on Overland Avenue, all the traffic that day, that time, going into Denny's with these people with their costumes on? This has got to be a jaw-dropping experience.
I might call Channel 11 and have them come down for a live remote.
Yeah, but you might call the police department and have them standing by to arrest these people, too. It's going to be wild. Oh, thank you.
On a serious note, the Democrats have way overplayed their hand.
I think so.
They have woken up the bear.
Yep.
And that's the mama bears from the Republican Party. Because those ladies are looking out for their children, their sons, and thinking, if this can happen to such a fine man that did nothing, I'm afraid of what can happen to my son.
You know, let me just say this quickly because I've got a weather forecast to get to, and it's hard to talk about this issue because if you say anything that's even a shade wrong, you're going to get criticized, but I'm going to get criticized anyway. So I'm just going to say this and I want your response. Men trying to be men and women being women, and the meeting of those two forces in a dating schematic, whether it's in high school, college, or afterward, to eventually possibly find a spouse, and I'm trying to do this as nice as I can, you're going to have circumstances, I'm sure, that might be prevalent that 30 years from now somebody's going to make an accusation at you. This is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It really is. It's, well, I'm at basically a loss for words on how to explain it, but one thing that I am seeing, and that is, if you were for the Kavanaugh Convention, the left is saying that you are against women. You want to rape women.
Yeah,
You're for a rape.
That's sick.
And that is sick, because we're not for a rapist.
I have watched I have watched you and your wife at the lunch bunch and how much respect you have for that lovely bride of yours. And I look around the room at people that have been married 40 years, 50 years, maybe even close to 55 or 60 years. I'm working on 48 this year, as a matter of fact. And I absolutely want to I wouldn't mind getting in a fist fight with anybody that wants to say that you and I or anybody else are advocating that kind of violence against women. I respect my wife. I respect women. I open the doors for them. Some of them are so rude and say, I can open the door myself, but I guarantee you I'm not going to change in trying to be a gentleman.
No, I'm not either. I still believe in chivalry. I still believe the male was created to protect the female and, furnish her with what she needed to take care of the male. They're both to take care of each other, but in different ways.
Well, all you have to do is read the Bible, folks, and that's the problem. We've got too far away from the Bible. Doug, I am way over. I got to get my weather on.
All righty. Everybody, let's do what we can for our seniors. We're coming up on the holidays. Let's rent their facilities for your parties or family get-togethers, family reunions. So let's take care of it.
Amen. And by the way, I was going to say, too, the other day, a gentleman, I'm being kind to him, called me and criticized me. You're always talking about the Bible, this and that. Well, I don't believe in the Bible. And I just told him I'm sorry that he feels that way, and I'm sorry that his life is going that way. And I mean that.
I would rather believe in it and it not be true when I get there than not believe in it and find out it is true.
Amen. Thanks, Doug. Caller number 2, you got to bear with me a minute. I've got to get the weather forecast on. I promise I'm coming your way, so stay tuned. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the wonderful doctors serving you. Oh, my goodness, for all your hearing health. Schedule a hearing health evaluation, and all you need to do is call them at 312-0957. They are located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room, and that number again to call, 312, as I dropped all the papers, 312-0957. Absolutely the best helping you. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're in a frost warning for this morning, and, of course, we're expecting some rain showers in the forecast this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for us up at the ranch. For this Columbus Day Monday, we are in a frost warning that is going to be in effect until about 10 o'clock this morning. Other than that, looks like sunny skies for today. High at 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Tomorrow, in come the rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. We are expecting a high of 53. Those rain showers are going to continue for tomorrow night. The winds are going to be picking up. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. We're expecting a low of 35. By Wednesday, 40% chance of showers in the forecast, mostly in the morning time, mostly cloudy skies, and we're expecting a high of 52, 20% chance of rain showers for Wednesday night with a low of 33. Then by Thursday, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of sunshine and expecting a high of 52. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Hey, thank you, Gina. And if you're ready to take charge of your hearing and any possible problems you have, please call Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you. Good morning.
Well, I just have another announcement to make.
Uh-oh.
I love my friends, Jerry and Doug, but, facts are facts, and war is war. War is hard on everybody. But with that said, I want to say one more thing. Anybody coming to Lunch Bunch on the 25th of October, the first person that can come to me and say they didn't have a good time, I will buy their lunch.
There you go. And really, though, Keith, there was something said that made a lot of common sense a few moments ago, because it would instill, I think, fears and nightmares to a lot of people. Do not show up wearing a tutu.
Well,
don't even show up wearing a 1-1.
I can always change my plan.
Okay. I got another...
You know what I'm really fearful of? Is the fact that some unknown will step forth and try to challenge me.
Yeah.
But come Come on, I'm ready for you.
All right, Keith. God bless you, man. Thank you. This is going to be a lot of fun. Thank you very, very much.
It is.
All right.
It's going to be the biggest event of the year.
I think so, and probably the most people will be in the jail cell. Anyway, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you very much, Keith. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Zeb, everybody's got their costume on already. What's the matter with them?
Well, the Democrats have sure got their costume on. I mean, my goodness, have you ever seen anything that is just filled with hate and sleaze like their party?
Have a good day, Zeb.
Okay, Bob, take care. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I don't know why she's still making news. I don't know why someone would want to give her the preferential treatment of taking a quote from her. She's not that smart. Believe me, you've probably read some of the things she has said and some of the things she has done. She is not a very smart person. Now she's calling for the demise of the Electoral College. She says that it protects whites with a shadow of slavery power. Whoa. Morning, caller.
Yeah, Zeb, Susan Collins made the comment, and a lot of others have, that they believe that something might have happened to Susan Blousy Ford, or not Susan, but Christine, but I think that made me mad at first when they said something might have happened. Then I got to thinking they probably felt that would take the heat off of them just a little bit if they said that they felt something might have happened. Because the way that it came out, that she didn't know when, where, who, how, there's no credence to that at all. So I think that was perhaps why they thought they needed to say why they thought something happened. But I'm wondering who found this girl, how much was she paid, and if not paid, then is she promised some big job in the future? So I think they need to follow the money there and follow it for some time to see what might happen. But she also said she thought that he might kill her. Then she come out and she said, I've had death threats, leading to more accusations against him. Anyone can claim that they were called with death threats, and there's no proof. So another thing, this accusations all the time against men, my thought is let's have it reported within 24 hours, and if it was a case of rape, then they have to take the rape test within 24 hours. Otherwise, there's a report made. If they report, if they don't report, then it's forgotten forever. You don't ever bring it up again.
I absolutely, I want to sit and discuss a lot of the points that you're talking about, which you brought up some good points. But the thing about Ms. Ford is such that there was no corroborative evidence. Her friends didn't testify on her behalf. They didn't know about a party like that. They weren't aware of anything that had took place like that. There was nothing but a great big void shell behind this woman as no proof. And to destroy a person that has devoted his life to his family and to his work as being a judge and hopefully on the Supreme Court, which he now is, I think it was nothing more than destruction against Brett Kavanaugh. Caller, I appreciate and I thank you for your call. Thank you.
You bet. Mm-hmm.
God bless. Thank you. Caller, real quick, I've only got 1 minute left, real fast.
Hey, Deb. Good morning. Oh, boy. You know, I completely disagree with the gentleman that just called in as far as being a woman and reporting it within 24 hours. Unfortunately, somebody in our family was raped. It was not reported. You know, for a multitude of reasons. The fellows. Dad was in law enforcement. She wouldn't have been believed. There were a multitude of reasons. So he is saying that if it isn't reported, it didn't happen, and that is so not true. I was a 14-year-old girl and went with a much older lady. She was 9 years older. She was my older brother's age, to drag Maine, and she accepted a ride from these other two people into the vehicle she was driving. And it could have been a very similar situation as Christina Blasey. But you know what? I was strong. I was 14, and I thought, oh, no.
Let me interrupt you, ma'am, please. Let me interrupt you, ma'am, please. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ma'am, I'm flat out of time, but I'm going to ask you a favor. I want to continue our conversation because I absolutely respect you for calling with this point of view. Would you call me tomorrow morning in the first hour? We'll talk further on this. I apologize. The clock is my master right now.
I understand.
I got to run. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Don't forget the Big Fall Tire Sale. I hated to cut her off. Please call back tomorrow morning. I'd appreciate that. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with a Big Fall Tire Sale going on right now. All the car tires, pickup tires, SUV tires, trailer tires, everything you need tires for, many of which are on sale now. Big Fall Tire Sale. And, of course, don't forget the very best of service with the best in brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Don't go away. Well, that's big of them. They made the mistake. They will print your license at no charge. Well, good, because you messed it up. You pay for it. Morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right this minute. And along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services,
it's true, always at your disposal. I'll tell you what, call, get on the route service, you'll be a happy camper. Yep, wave goodbye to your garbage. They come by once a week, pick it up. It's gone. It's out of there. Call the number 734-6969. Always at your disposal, the best folks, Western Waste Services. Absolutely. Hey, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric. They're very proud to offer service you can trust, along with Lennox products that help keep you comfortable. And don't forget at Ramsey Heating and Electric, they're offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. Call them today and find out more. 678-0459. Proudly offering Lennox products, just another way they make you feel better at Ramsey Heating and Electric. In business for well over 60 years. Really, really good people. When I mention good people, I've also got to mention our friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And that number to call, Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, 436-5636. When there's the passing of a loved one, don't forget they are always there to help you. With the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Again, that number, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Well, I've got a picture in my mind's eye that our next guest is sitting in a recliner right now with his soft, fuzzy foot slippers on, taking the day off, enjoying the fact that Columbus found the Americas. Here is Richard Manning, president of Americans for Limited Government. Good morning.
Hey, how are you? I have no fuzzy slippers, but I am taking the day off, working from home. But, you call it Columbus Day, but the millennials call it White European Patriarchal Dominance Day. And so once I found out that's what it was called, I gave my staff the day off. So
let me ask you about this, though. A lot of people want to call it Indigenous Peoples Day. They want to remove any and all aspects of Columbus, Christopher Columbus. I'm not. I refuse to go along with that liberal lean that we've got to demean and go ahead and cast off something that we've celebrated for a long time. It's Columbus Day to me, and I'm not changing.
No, I agree with you, and it's because they moved to eliminate Columbus Day, and trust me, it's in the. I talked to a guy who was in college, 30 years old, but he was in college working for me. I asked him about it, and it was all he could tell me was all the terrible things that Columbus did, and it was like, are you nuts? But that's what he'd been taught. This was a good 8 to 10 years ago, so. We have an education system that's failing to teach people what we were taught about Columbus. They're being taught something different. But here's the deal. They're trying to erase the massive impact, the world-changing impact of the founding of the Americas. They're trying to erase the Europeanization of America, which means the fundamental principles of Locke, John Locke. They're essentially using Columbus as a proxy to attack the right of white European ideas to have been the dominant ideas of the world for the past 150, 200 years. And as a result, they're basically attacking freedom at its core. And that's why I celebrate Columbus Day, because the attack on Columbus Day is an attack on freedom, it's an attack on the founding of America, it's an attack on America's actual right to exist. So when we get down to it, even though I have some indigenous people's blood, I used to call it Indian blood, but I guess it's now indigenous people's blood, in my bloodstream from some past relatives, and unlike Elizabeth Warren, I can't prove it, it is I'm proud of my country, and the founding of our country from Columbus on. I'm proud of it, and I think we celebrate it.
Well, my wife is part Cherokee, and there are times during a marital spat that I always expect to get a hatchet or a tomahawk right between the eyes. But I'll tell you what, I respect her heritage. She respects her heritage, but she's not asking for anything like Indigenous People Day.
Yeah, that's kind of absurd, and it's the single best way you can have Indigenous Peoples Day is we can sit there and we can, if people truly want to do that, and their corporations are like, how about if you take advantage of the tax breaks and the regulatory breaks that you get by locating businesses on what are known as Indian reservations, because there's massive tax breaks for doing so. There's massive regulatory breaks for doing so. The people who are legitimately part of those tribes get a benefit from it, and perhaps we can stop having to have the largest example of failure in our American history, which is the socialist system that we set up to try to deal with the indigenous peoples in this country by putting them on reservations and then putting them on a welfare system.
Absolutely.
So how about if you really believe that? Start a business inside in a reservation, so those people who are indigenous who live there can benefit from it, and they can benefit from the profit that it generates, and we can actually turn them into free enterprise zones and enriching everybody.
Absolutely a great idea. I've got another great idea I want to talk to you about. Our senators have been accused of kicking the can down the road. Well, after yesterday in the NFL, where none of the kickers could hit their you-know-what with both hands, maybe that's a great job for the Senators. Are you there?
Wow.
I have never seen in my life such lousy kicking in the NFL for professionals. Namely, one, Mason Crosby of the Green Bay Packers missed 4 field goals and an extra point, and quite frankly, the rumors are true that he might be looking at a job for Walmart.
Well, it's I think there's probably 100 potential replacements for him, although they may not have the distance, in terms of the can kicking. They get a lot of practice, but I don't think they have the distance nor the accuracy. But apparently Mason Crosby doesn't have either of those either. I will give you my confession. I did not watch an NFL game yesterday. And I really have not. I occasionally find myself sneaking in, listening to the radio, driving home, or something like that. But I really have not gotten back into the NFL habit. In fact, I didn't even watch a college game on Saturday, which is really unusual. So I'm only aware of Mason Crosby on Facebook having Green Bay Packer fans whining and crying about it and demanding that he be treated like Brett Kavanaugh. And so it's all in all, U.S. senators. I think there's a lot of them who'd be really good at it.
I want to get serious for a few moments now, Richard, because I value your opinion and your concepts of what's going on. I don't think this Kavanaugh problem is over. Tonight at 7 p.m., the ceremony as far as swearing him in at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But some of the absolute evil and sleaze from the left, they are already planning on ways that if they win the House, how they can go about impeachment proceedings and the death threats and the beheading threats and the murder threats. My goodness, what has happened to the left? They've lost their minds.
Yeah, I think they have collectively lost their minds. And one of the things, an ad that we did in Americans for Limited Government, that we ran in West Virginia, got some prominence over the weekend when CNN's Don Lemon included it in his whatever that thing he runs on in the evenings. And the ad was very simple. It was about silence and how the Democrat senators remaining silent while the wildest antics that you can imagine were being undertaken, and acceptance of those antics. And and to me, the only way you get this called off, is if the Democrats determine that it's actually hurting them politically. And until that occurs, it will continue to escalate. And the only way the Democrats can determine that this hurts them politically is if they lose badly at the polls. They have to lose in November, otherwise this will be the next 2 years of our lives. So it is, and it has to be directly attributable to their really abhorrent behavior through this Kavanaugh nomination. So, I mean, as a country, we have to decide if we're going to reward the child's temper tantrum in Walmart. If we're going to give the child a piece of candy and reward them, then we're going to get more temper tantrums. If they lose, then George Soros will stop paying these people, and they'll go to a different tactic.
Absolutely well stated. I want to ask you about something else that I'm sure you've had discussions on, but it seems to me like the liberal left is always trying to change and transition things away from our Constitution and our value system. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who I don't give very much credence to, but she's just one of many of the liberal Democrats that are coming out and saying, oh, we have to get rid of the Electoral College in this country. And then she said, and I'm paraphrasing, it protects whites with a shadow of slavery power. How would you interpret her remarks?
She is perhaps one of the most ignorant people who I've seen come on the public stage. She has shown that even though she has an economics degree, she doesn't understand anything about economics. She has demonstrated that even though she purports to be an activist, she has no knowledge of the rules of the game in terms of our Constitution and why those rules were created. And she just continues to shower us with what essentially are talking points from people who don't have a very good grasp on reality. I don't think she has a lot of original thoughts. So, you have to look at it and you have to say, okay, take what she says and say, okay, this is what's being fed to people en masse. And that's what, so in that case, we have to be alarmed in that she has a voice for people who aren't very knowledgeable but think they are. They probably went to college, and they came out of the college without having much knowledge about how our government works and why. And so it's let's just be clear. The Electoral College was set up as a simple means to have a president elected based upon getting a combination of state votes and popular votes. And the popular votes by state. Our country was founded where the states had a lot of power. The states didn't have the power not because of any particular issue, but because they did not want a strong federal government. Because a strong federal government could easily overcome the states if it was allowed to occur. We've seen so what we now have is a very strong federal government with the vestiges of power to the states in the Electoral College. If you live in a small state, you better love the Electoral College, and you better love the way senators, at least that there's 2 per state, because that is the only way you have a voice over somebody who lives in California or New York. And so it's a protection of the small states. It was part of the deal that was cut to get it so the small states of the original 13 would join with the large states and know that they would not be run over by essentially a mob democracy. And those who don't understand, we were never set up as a democracy. In fact, we're set up specifically to calm the mob, rather than just give the mob what they want. It was set up that way. As frustrating as the Senate is, as frustrating as the fact you have a president who's elected who may not be in alignment with the Senate and the House, as frustrating as all this stuff is, it was designed to have a government that didn't take precipitous action rapidly to play to the mob, but rather worked in a diligent way to make certain that rights were protected, but the needs of the public were met.
What you said was very well stated, Richard, and it would take states, just to throw these out on the table quickly, it would take states like mine, the state of Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Montana, and of course Wyoming. It would take those, Utah, and throw those completely into a disarray where their votes are not even necessary when you look at the populous centers of California, Chicago, and New York. It would just absolutely take us out of the picture.
Absolutely. And it's I don't know if during the primary election process, one of the things that frustrates some states that, where there's a lot of states that have the primaries on the same day, if you're a small state without having a lot of votes for the primary, you get short shrift in terms of having presidential candidates visit you and the like. But in the Electoral College, because we are relatively divided, every state matters in the Electoral College, and so it becomes very important to make certain that a state like Idaho, which is right now is seen as being pretty much a Republican state, still matters in the overall scheme of things. Even though it only has 4 Electoral College votes, we know that it still matters. It matters, and so you have to pay attention to all of the states around the country. And it is I'll give you a simple example. New Hampshire, in the last election, it ended up being swung by about 6,000 votes. And New Hampshire, when they were doing the calculations before Election Day, it looked like it was a 4 to 6 Electoral College vote swing. And so a state like New Hampshire with 4 Electoral College votes was one that would sit there and say, wow, the entire thing could come down to the state that had the first primary.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was one of those kind of anomalies. As our elections get closer and closer, as we are more and more divided, unfortunately, we're going to see the smaller states begin to take more prominence because every state is going to matter. So it's so the Electoral College matters, and by the way, it does give states power, and states should have power because you have more power with your state legislators than you do with your congressmen.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a quick question. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Well, you bring up a point. If we have a constitutional convention, the Electoral College will be gone, and we'll have the same kind of chaos we just witnessed with Judge Kavanaugh. But we definitely do not want, in this state, they only need 6 more states before we have a constitutional convention. So we need to, I'd like him to comment about that, because we need to stop that drive. And they've been pushing the last 4 years, our state legislature, led by Scott Bedke and Senate leaders, have been pushing for a constitutional convention, which will be just absolutely madness and would do away with the Electoral College, I'm sure.
Let's have Richard talk about that on the air. Thank you, caller. Go ahead and respond to him if you would, please.
I think personally, my organization doesn't have a position, but let me give you mine. I think it's a bad idea for the Constitutional Convention, and it's very simple. If you take an issue like the Second Amendment, California, New Jersey, New York are going to say, we don't want to belong to a Connecticut. We don't want to belong to a country that has a Second Amendment. States like Idaho and others will say, well, we believe it, we have an absolute right, and it's got to be in there. So how do you get to 38 votes for a Constitution when you're not going to get 38 votes in favor of anything in terms of a rewrite, because California, New York, New Jersey have a diametrically opposite position than people in states like Idaho, Wyoming, and the like. Mm-hmm. And so my concern about the Constitutional Convention is it will exacerbate our differences, and in exacerbating our differences will make it much more likely that we will end up in a state of dissolution rather than a state of unity. And that is dangerous. And so what I tell people is, if you want the country to be divided up into 5 different countries, go ahead, have a constitutional convention, because that's what you're going to get.
Real quick, with the talk from the liberal left, like Cortez and others, that want to abolish the Electoral College on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 not too much to worry about, 10 being very dangerous. Where are we on that scale of these nincompoops trying to sway the public opinion on getting rid of the Electoral College?
I don't think they have a chance, because you have to get 38 votes to say they want to get rid of it. And it's in about 35 states' interest that the Electoral College exists. So given that, you have to convince a bunch of states like Rhode Island to do something that's a counter to their interests. And one thing in politics is that's not something that people usually do, is do things that are counter to their own interests. So if you had it just from a straight political perspective, I don't think they could get rid of the Electoral College. But once again, I think the danger in opening the whole thing up is, I kind of like the Constitution. I'd like to add a balanced budget amendment. I'd like to add term limits maybe. But I kind of like the Constitution, and I think there's much more possibility of harm than good. Let's try to elect good people, better people, and send them there and hold them accountable. That's the real way to change the country if you want to change it.
Absolutely. President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning, who right now, this very minute, is going to lace up the shoes, go out in the backyard, practice kicking for a Sunday part-time job. Have a good day, my friend.
Hey, I'll take that part-time job. Minimum salary is pretty sweet.
Okay. Richard, see you next week. Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. Bye. Richard Manning, really a good political analyst on the program every Monday at 9:06. Whoa, we got to tell everybody about Ark Animal Hospital. They care about your animals. They care about the health of your animals. All you have to do is remember where they're located at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. The number to call is 678-1177. They are a mixed animal practice, meaning large or small. They take care of them all, and they want to keep them all healthy. Absolutely. I urge you to get a hold of them. They're really, really good people. They've been voted Minnecacha's best veterinary hospital for multiple years. Dr. Bill, Dr. Jordan, and the great staff at ARC Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Heyburn, and here's the number again, 678-1177. And they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Well, I don't know about their noses, but I'll tell you what, these are really good folks over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I wonder if Jeff got back. He was on vacation, and they're located at 459 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes. I just, in the last couple of months, got a brand new recliner from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Ooh, it is comfy. You'll love all the selection they have for recliners at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Now, you can't just go, I'll take that one. You got to go in and you got to try them on. There's some for tall people and there's some for short people. There's some for real skinny people and there's some that for those of us that aren't. Anyway, I suggest you get in there and check out the great selection of recliners at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And don't forget, we're going to be spending a lot more time indoors. Check out all the carpeting, the luxury vinyl flooring, all of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really good people. Before we get our next guest on the phone, I want to remind everybody about Let's Ride. Look at the weather out there right now. Oh, my. And there was a lot of people that went out yesterday, and they enjoyed the great southern Idaho weather and outdoors on their ATVs or four-wheelers that are going zip, 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 zip all over, I tell you. Well, we did too, as a matter of fact. So get out there and enjoy. And first of all, if you don't have a four-wheeler, go over to Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. And they also have now on their showroom floor all the snowmobiles. You better get over there. Snow's right around the corner. See, look, there it is, angel dandruff on the hills. You better get over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yep, where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. All right, let's go to the phone line. And I've been really anxious to get this gentleman on our program and discuss his book. He's the author of a book called Jesus and Company. And it's called Connecting the Lessons of the Gospel with Today's Business World. And we say good morning to Dr. Bruce Hartman. Sir, how are you?
I'm terrific, and thank you for having me on your show.
Well, it's a blessing to have you on the program. Okay, I'm going to give you a time right now to give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of Jesus and Company. What's it all about?
Well, it's for business people, but also generally for people at work, and it shows them how to bring Jesus with them to work in a way that reduces their fear and reduces self-interest on their own part so that they can be more sustainable to both their employers, their customers, and their fellow workers.
You know, I would think, and I think I'm right on this, that 30 years ago, for myself or you or anyone to go to work and talk about church and talk about Jesus and the values of Christianity, etc., no problem. But oh my, today things have changed, Bruce.
Well, they certainly have. It's been, if I think back 30 years ago, you're absolutely right. And in today's world, particularly in the employment world, it is more difficult. And that's part of what this book is if you don't have somebody comfortable, but you are a person of faith, this book will show you a lot of the things, like how to be a better salesperson, how to be a better networker, how to get better results, but also how to feel good about yourself. Not your net worth, but your self-worth.
I want to get a copy of this book, and I want to read it because the Lord has been in my life for a long, long time, and I don't do anything or get involved in anything with a lot of prayer. I'm not trying to promote myself over anybody else, but I'm just not going to change. I absolutely think that my religion has helped me over my lifetime. But there are those, the minute they hear that I'm a Christian and I advocate that through my job, etc., woo, the evil comes out, and there's a lot of people that don't want you around.
Yeah, but I did a study that that's a good comment. I know a lot of people feel that way, and when I was working, I would sometimes feel that way as well. But I'll give you one statistic: 90% of Americans believe in God. 2/3 of Americans pray on a regular basis, and a fair amount of these folks also go to church. And when I go throughout the country and talk to various people, I do see Jesus in all these people, and I would say that 90% number of people that believe in God and 2/3 that pray, I think it's accurate. And the second thing is the voices of dissent against Christianity are very loud, but there is a silent majority that do believe, and they do have a faithful life practice, similar to you and similar to me. And in essence, what I did when I wrote this book was to create a how-to manual for those in business. And I was a CFO for Fortune 500 companies and Fortune 1000 companies, so I know what temptation is, I know what the workplace is. And then the last 7 or 8 years, I've been getting my degree in theology, helping the poor, working in churches, and basically getting trained to understand what Jesus meant. So it is a good combination from somebody that's both on the outside and on the inside.
Dr. Hartman, let me ask you this question. Why did we as Christians let and allow a secular society to bully us and try to take us over?
Well, I think we have to show our faith stronger, and I'll give you an example. When I was the CFO and Chief Administrative Officer of Yankee Candle, I would keep a Bible on my desk. And the head of HR came in one day and said, I can't do that. It's against company policy. So I asked her to go show me the company policy that stated that. And she said it's unwritten. And I said, well, until it's written, the Bible stays on my desk. Well, here's an interesting side note, though. Lots of people would come into my office, shut the door, and talk to me about their life, their problems, and how they needed to connect closer to Jesus. So it is there. We got to be humble with it. We got to be firm with it, and we can't be scared of this force that's pushing back on us.
Who is the force that's pushing back on us? Who is the funding agency? Who are these people, these evils that lurk in the darkness? Who are these people that are so afraid of Christianity they will do anything they can to try to make it obsolete?
Well, anything that goes against the norm is always going to be challenged, and it's over history, we've seen this happen over and over again. But it's a human nature to resist things that aren't normal. And one of the things we've done is made Jesus in the workplace not normal. So that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, was one, because of my pedigree as a senior officer for some very large companies. I felt like I had an authenticity for that, to push back on those folks. And you'd be surprised, like even today, if you talk to folks in your office quietly and politely about their faith, you'll hear some very interesting stories.
You know, when you say that, I've got a whole bunch of questions regarding what do we do to get and implement our youth back into Christianity, into going to church, into sitting down and praying at the dinner table, getting employers to understand that Good Friday in the afternoon at 3 o'clock is the time that they should and could let their employees go to a church service. What do we do to change this thing?
Well, I think a couple of things. One, it starts with the parents. If you want your children to pray, then you have to pray. And I've raised 4 daughters, and one of the things I've noticed is that the things that they remember in their 20s are the things that we did for them when they were just before their teens. Those are the things that they remember and cherish. So if you have two believing Christian parents that are working on their faith all the time, the children have a much greater success, particularly when they get going in life through high school to college and then early in their career. And it makes it normal for them. The second thing is our churches have to change the church format from the messages always are pretty terrific. Kids love to pray, but the music has to be more up to date. And if the music doesn't resonate with the kids, they will go someplace else. The third thing is the kids have to be part of the church. So a lot of times you'll see the pastor at the beginning, they'll do a children's sermon, then scoot them out of the altar or the sanctuary. I would rather see the kids stay there with their parents to learn what it's like to be there in church. So the more we at home make it acceptable for our children, then the more they'll make it acceptable later in their lives.
Let me ask you this.
The second thing is, Christians have a reputation for being stiff and stern and very rigid in their beliefs. And I think one of the first things we should be doing when we evangelize is not tell people what to think, but help them with what they think. Because the compelling force of God, I believe, is in all people, and it's really up to us to draw it out. But when you tell people how to think and what to think, that will always move them away.
Dr. Hartman, let me say this, and I've mentioned it before on my program, and I'm going to stand fast behind this statement, that I think a lot of the problem, a major percent of the problem is caused by the pastors themselves in various churches because they're not preaching about what's going on in the world today. They're not preaching about how to solve some of these issues and put Christianity back in the forefront. I believe that a lot of the blame goes to the pulpit. Am I wrong?
Well, I think that a lot of our pastors are well-intentioned, but I think you're pretty accurate with your comment, and I think it's a good point. So, for instance, when we go to church on Sunday, is the pastor helping us at 8:15 on Monday morning when we've hit our first temptation of the week? Is he or she giving us the lessons that we can draw upon? And the interesting point and supportive of what you just said is half the people that go to church are working Monday morning.
And we have a caller with a question for you, Dr. Hartman. Go ahead, caller, please, quickly. You're on the air.
Good morning. Well, the Earl Warren Supreme Court, without precedent, took prayer and Bible reading out of public schools. With the Supreme Court changing, I think we need to push for the Supreme Court to overcome that, because in 1962 and 63, when we've had a downward slope. Our kids can teach about Islam, but they can't teach about Christianity and about Jesus Christ. I'd like him to comment about that, because I think it's important that we turn this thing around and allow people to pray in school and to study the Bible, which was the first textbook in our schools.
All right. Thank you, caller. I appreciate that. Dr. Hartman, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point that's being made here, and you can trace back the decline in the church almost to that same period in the 60s. Since that's changed, the institutional church has dropped their attendance by 1% to 2% a year for almost the last 50 years. I believe the Supreme Court overstepped the First Amendment, which says that the state will not support religion, but it gives you the right to practice whatever religion you want. And I think they only looked at the first part. So, in other words, if we're funding school systems with state money, there should be no prayer in church. Well, but there also should be, if that's what the people in the school want to do, because you can't look at both sides of this freedom of religion and only select one side. So I do agree that with a more conservative Supreme Court that looks more fundamentally at the Constitution, we have a chance of getting prayer back in the church.
Dr. Hartman, On your book, Jesus and Company, Connecting the Lessons of the Gospel with Today's Business World, when people get the book, read the book, and finish it, close the cover on the book, what message do you want them to take away from reading this book?
That if we follow Jesus, it's not just about getting eternal life. It's about having a life of hope, one of faith, and one of trust. It's the ability to stand up to difficult times that occur to you, and it's inevitable. Almost every day, one of us is faced with either temptation or a difficult boss or a difficult customer. The lessons of Jesus help us deal with that. And Jesus himself, of the 42 parables that he gave us, 35 of them relate to people that work. For instance, don't put new wine into an old wineskin. The parable of coins, the parable of the unfaithful servant, the parable of the wise manager, the parable of the talents. They're all designed to show us not only the value of the kingdom of God, but the value in our daily lives. And I believe if you read the book front to cover, you will end up at the end feeling more empowered and more confident in your ability to not only be a good boss, but to be a good employee and to treat your customers better.
Absolutely. We have another caller with a question for you. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air. Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, if we want to navigate life and to lead your family and your wife and to do the right thing to save your country, these are all blessings that have been given to people here or anywhere, but, you know, Americans in America, of course. But you see, the thing of it is this. This is what I have found. This is just me. That the Holy Spirit will guide and direct and protect you if you know how to tap into that and know how it works in your life. And when you write down a goal, your subconscious mind goes to work creating that goal. So between the subconscious mind working, and we always need to remember that, we can't do bad things with a good system, so to speak, where we have this Holy Ghost and the subconscious mind. We have to be pursuing good and right. So the subconscious mind and the Holy Ghost, every day I pray that I will know exactly what to do and exactly how to do it. Help me to help myself. Mm-hmm. Nobody's going to help me do anything because I have free will. When does God intervene? I don't know when divine intervention begins. But I know this. If I want to lead me myself, I have got to be the best I can be doing the right thing. And then I can lead my family, my country. But you see, when people don't even care to try to do the right thing or tap into the Spirit because they don't even know anything about religion and Christ and repentance, and sincere repentance works every time, all the time, if you're sincere and you can tap into the Spirit.
I'm going to have Dr. Hartman respond, caller.
I know I went too long.
I'm going to have him respond. Go ahead, Dr. Hartman, please.
Yeah, there's some really good points being made there. The first is the value of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit resides within each of us, and it was a gift given to us the 50th day after the resurrection. But what the caller is saying is the right thing to do. In the morning, think about your day. Think about what your goals are for the day, and pray. And ask that the Holy Spirit help you in determining what your path is. And this issue of determining right for wrong will occur during this process. We have this great counselor that was given to us that will tell us what our heart knows we should do. And what we're constantly fighting as humans, we're constantly fighting self-interest and fear. And the great counselor of the Holy Spirit is constantly trying to get us to love God, love our neighbor, and do the right thing. So I think the caller makes some really good points about, a morning practice of prayer and writing down what it is you want to do that day and do it in conjunction with prayer. And you'll be surprised by the end of the day how much better you feel.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Hartman, please tell us the book, Jesus and Company, Connecting Lessons of the Gospel with Today's Business World. Where and how can people obtain a copy?
Well, the easiest way is you can download it to your Kindle right off of Amazon.com, certainly Barnes & Noble if you have a Nook. And it is available on Amazon in hardcover, and you can get it at most major bookstores in America.
I appreciate your coming on the program, Dr. Bruce Hartman, and I'll look forward to getting the book, calling you back, and we'll discuss it again. Thank you very much for being on the program this morning.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right, sir. Have a great day. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Bruce Hartman, author of Jesus and Company, Connecting Lessons of the Gospel with Today's Business World. Good man right there. And I am going to get a copy of that book. Holy cow, we've got to pay some bills, and we've got to start, first of all, with the weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwood and Crane and Company. These are really good people that have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Absolutely the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. You'd better get a hold of them today. They've got 2 offices to serve you, Burley and Rupert. Please remember the name, the professionals helping you, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're in a frost warning for this morning, and, of course, we're expecting some rain showers in the forecast this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for us up at the ranch. For this Columbus Day Monday, we are in a frost warning that is going to be in effect until about 10 o'clock this morning. Other than that, looks like sunny skies for today. High at 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Tomorrow, in come the rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. We are expecting a high of 53. Those rain showers are going to continue for tomorrow night. The winds are going to be picking up. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. We're expecting a low of 35. By Wednesday, 40% chance of showers in the forecast, mostly in the morning time, mostly cloudy skies, and we're expecting a high of 52, 20% chance of rain showers for Wednesday night with a low of 33. Then by Thursday, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of sunshine and expecting a high of 52. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Wow, things are a-changing outside, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. If you are a business or for your family, you've got questions about the tax rate changes, deduction changes, I urge you to get a hold of them today. Like I said, offices in Burley and Rupert, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Really, really good folks. Holy moly, let's see what else have we got cooking here. There was a story that sickened me when I saw it on the news early this morning, that in Mississippi, the town of Brookhaven, Mississippi, the high school band halftime performance, now this is a high school, the halftime performance depicted police being shot. This was just a couple of days after 2 police officers in that area lost their lives. What is the matter? What could possibly be the matter with the school leadership, if you want to call it that, for letting and allowing the band to put on a skit where it absolutely showed police getting killed? We'll talk about that more in just a moment. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
One thing I just wanted to bring up, Zeb, is today is supposedly Columbus Day. No, it's not. It's on the 12th. And I really resent this fact. And I think Congress passed this bill or whatever it was to get it changed to a 3-day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So they could fly home and have a good time.
Well, there's no question about that. I absolutely am never, ever going to call it anything but what it is. It is Columbus Day. It's not Indigenous Peoples Day. Nobody's going to try to arm twist me into changing. There were some emails and people in the past that have said, oh, you better call it what it is now. It's going to be called Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not going that route. I'm going to honor the holiday for what it was. However, I do agree with you that the twisting and turning of the dates weakens and lessens the value of many of our dates of history and of importance, and I don't like it just to be used as a vacation day.
You put the nail right in the coffin right there, because that's what I seriously believe, that it's all to change history. You know, there's been a lot of controversy over what day Columbus did come to America. Well, it don't make any difference. He made it here, and he did what he was supposed to do, and we celebrated that fact. It was not a religious thing or anything like that. It was just a matter of recognizing the fact that somebody did come to America.
Yeah, I whether it's religious or not, and it's not in this case, but I don't care if it was. I'm going to honor the day for what it was meant to be, and it's a salute to Christopher Columbus, the daring, the bravery, the absolute searching and finding. I'm going to give all the credence to Christopher Columbus. I'm not going to sit here and hang a sign on the wall that says Indigenous Peoples Day. I couldn't care less. I'm going to honor it as a Columbus Day. I'm going to honor Christmas as Christmas Day. I'm going to honor the 4th of July as Independence Day. That's the way I am. I'm not going to change. Keith, got to run. I got to get a commercial in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
God bless. Yeah, this changing, and some crybaby group says, oh, no, why, they might have done that. How do they know were they there? They weren't. I'm so sick and tired of people trying to rewrite history. Oh, well, the Alamo, that was bad. No, it wasn't. 186 Texans fought for Texas independence, and they died at the Alamo. Let's call it like it is. I'm not going to back up and whitewash it for anybody. Calm down, Zeb. Let's not forget our friends over at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this, and so much more by people that are really dedicated and responsive to your needs. They are, and they can and will help you. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. The number to call to make an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Really, really good people. Oh, and quickly, I laid this down, and now I can't find my notes. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're very proud to offer service you can trust, along with Lennox products. And when I say that, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. And all you need to do to find out more is call them at 678-0459. They're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, and over 60 years of service to you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox. You stop in or give them a call today. Holy moly, this hour's gone fast. Coming up next hour, we've got Dr. Michael Busler talking about our economy. And then at 10:30, Matthew Taylor, the director of a documentary called The Creepy Line. Don't miss this. I'll be back in about 7. That's big of them. Hey, welcome. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a big fall tire sale right now. And also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. We're going to have our guest on the air with us in just a few moments. Again, another reminder that Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, service you can trust, absolutely, and possibly save you money too. Ramsey Heating and Electric offering up to $1,600 in rebates on qualifying equipment purchases. All you need to do to find out more is call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric, located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. By the way, don't forget our friends over at Dino's Septic Service. They do the job that you and I don't want to do. I don't want to stand out there and pump out a septic tank. No! You don't want to go out there and clean out sewer and sink drain lines. No! Well, they do it with a smile on their face. I'll tell you what, they've recently expanded their business, and they urge you to make sure that you get your pumping done before the ground freezes over. So get a hold of them today. Dino Septic Service. Yep. Numbers in Rupert, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. As I said, fast, fair, friendly service. Dino Septic Service with a big truck that says, smells cargo on the way, serving you. Dino Septic Service. Oh, let's go right to the phone line. And this gentleman's been on the air before many times, and I really look forward to his insight. He is a public policy analyst, economics expert, and a professor of finance. Let's welcome back again Dr. Michael Busler. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine, and it's always my pleasure to be here.
Well, you always add so much to the program with your insight on what's going on or not going on with the economy. I got to ask you this. What in the world possibly could be on the Democratic platform to make Americans' life better on the economy when, A, we're seeing through the Trump administration 3.7% unemployment, we're seeing the stock market really go up, and we're seeing trade negotiations which look like they're going to enhance our policies for the betterment of Americans instead of a betterment of somebody else. So I guess what I'm asking, Dr. Michael Busler, what do the Democrats have to stand on except quicksand?
Yeah, in addition to all the good things you just said, maybe the most important thing is that the economy is growing at over a 4% rate, has been since April. The third quarter number will be out at the end of this month. I think it's going to be around 4.5% growth, and I wouldn't be surprised next year to see a quarter or two where growth exceeded 5%. Your original question to me was, what can the Democrats put forth in terms of economic policy? And the answer is nothing. And they're not really concerned about economic growth as a top priority. Following what Obama did during his administration with regard to policy, their top priority is to cure perceived social injustices. For instance, it's an injustice that everybody doesn't have health care. It's an injustice that wealthy people make more than average people. It's an injustice that big business takes advantage of consumers. So the Democratic platform is not geared to economic growth. It's to solve these perceived social injustices. And I don't think they're going to be able to run on anything in this current election, and so far it seems to be the case. The only thing that they can run on is not Trump. And since everything Trump has done, at least in economic and foreign policy, has turned out to be extremely positive. When they run on not Trump, they cite that they don't criticize necessarily Trump's policies, although they do somewhat. Mostly they say Trump is just a bad person. He doesn't like women. He doesn't like minorities. He doesn't like gay people. He doesn't like people of the Muslim faith. So they're saying that Trump is simply a bad person, and we have to get a bad person out of the White House. A mentor of mine years ago, Walter Williams, a noted economist, wrote in a column last month that I found very intriguing. He said, look, he doesn't believe Trump is a bad person, but even if you believe Trump is a bad person, you can't argue that he's a good president. Bill Clinton was a terrible person. He turned out to be a pretty good president. Jimmy Carter was a very good person. He turned out to be not such a good president. So even if you believe that Trump is not a good person, it's very difficult to argue that he's been a bad president, because all of his policies are turning out to be very good for the country, especially the fact that the economy hasn't grown at a 3% annual rate since 2005. We haven't grown at a 4% annual rate since the year 2000. That's caused tons of problems, both economically and I believe socially. I know for the last 10 years or so, my students graduate and they're lucky to find one good job offer. Many of them have taken jobs for which they didn't need a college degree. Once they do that, the people without college degrees don't have any job opportunities at all. They get so discouraged, they leave the labor market, and there's probably 5 to 6 million of those, what economists refer to as discouraged workers. Because the economy, Trump got into office in January of 2017, the first thing he could do was reverse the counterproductive regulations that President Obama had put into effect. He did that in February and March. By April, the economy was growing at a 3% rate, and it stayed there. Then in the fall, he convinced Congress to cut taxes for all Americans, and he modeled the tax cut after what Reagan did in 81, went into effect in 82, and what Kennedy Johnson did in 63 and 64. The tax cut went into effect in January of this year. By April of this year, we're growing at a 4% annual rate. The third quarter number will be out the end of October. I think they're looking at about a 4.5% growth rate, and I wouldn't be surprised next year to see a quarter or two where growth rate exceeds 5%. When Reagan cut taxes in 81, went into effect in 82, in 1984, for the year, the economy grew at a 7.5% annual rate. So once we get good growth like that, all of my underemployed former college graduates will now find better opportunities that are more suited to their background, and the discouraged workers that didn't have any opportunities will come back into the workforce and find opportunity. I think the Democrats are going to have a very difficult time in November convincing voters to pull the Democratic levers.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Bussler, and you work with us every day, and you were on a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about this same subject. But we have 3.7 unemployment. However, we do have another problem. And the problem is that most of the businesses that I know, good, reputable businesses, are begging for people to come in and apply for jobs. I, for one, my business, I've been begging for people to come and apply for sales jobs. How do we re-implement an incentive to go out and use the talents that God gave you and get back to work instead of leeching off the government?
Well, two ways to do that. One is you have to make it less easy to leech off the government. President Obama relaxed rules to get food stamps, and as a result, we had record number of people collecting food stamps. President Trump, because of growth in the economy, has reduced the number of people collecting food stamps by over 4 million. We had a work requirement for people collecting welfare, which was put in by President Clinton. President Obama reversed that also, and since he perceived it to be an injustice that everybody didn't have health insurance, he now made it possible for everybody to get, those who couldn't afford it, to get free health insurance. So it's now very easy and very attractive, essentially, to do nothing and live off of the government. We've got to change that. Look, we're all very compassionate people. If somebody is hurting, you certainly don't want to see anybody starve to death. And if somebody is hurting, we'd like to help them get back on their feet. But the programs are not designed to lock people into it for a lifetime, and in some instances, locking it in for multi-generations. So the first thing we have to do is make it a little harder not to work. Secondly, wages are going to have to go up a little bit to attract people into jobs. Now, you're talking about sales positions. That's something that's based on performance. In other words, salespeople have to perform, otherwise they're not of any value to the company. So we may need a little higher wages to bring them into the workforce and make them allow them, or encourage them rather, to apply for these jobs. And once they start producing, they have to be rewarded proportionately. Normally, for a business person, that's not a problem, because somebody who is producing for you, you want to keep them happy so that they continue to produce.
I agree with everything you said, but I also want to ask a question when you started talking about higher wages. I am absolutely adamantly opposed to saying or even accepting the fact that entry-level jobs like being a burger flipper, for instance, are worthy of $15 an hour. That I would arbitrate.
And I agree with you completely. If you're looking at somebody, a minimum wage job, with all due respect, I'm not criticizing anybody, but a minimum wage job is made for somebody who has absolutely no skills. They can't do anything. Again, I'm not criticizing, I'm just stating facts. So they can't do anything, and a minimum wage job is just meant to bring people into the workforce, let them learn a skill, and then once they learn a skill, it's an entry-level position. Once you learn a skill, then you're not an unskilled worker anymore, and you can start earning higher wages. I agree with you completely. A $15 an hour minimum wage would be an absolute disaster for the economy. The number of jobs available would plummet, and you'd see the classic example of capital replacing labor. Now, what does that mean? Instead of going into a fast food restaurant and giving your order to a person who enters it, you would see these touch screens come in, and you would just go in, you wouldn't talk to a person, you'd order through a touch screen, pay through an automatic machine, and you'd eliminate labor. That technology is a bit expensive, but if you're talking about paying $15 an hour, it's much cheaper than hiring labor at $15 an hour. So I agree with you completely. Arbitrarily doubling the minimum wage will do far more harm than it will good for everyone.
You mentioned something I wanted to talk about earlier in our conversation. You were talking about the social injustices that the Democratic Party perceives that we have done. You know, I've worked hard all my life. I started working at 14 years of age, and I've worked hard all my life to attain and achieve what I have and what I've accomplished in my career. But yet there are those that say, oh, well, you didn't do this, you had help along the way. Or, now that you've achieved this, you're just one of those old white men that absolutely thinks they're in control of everything. Why is there this animus against success, and especially a racist animus against white people in our society?
I don't know. The Democrats accuse the Republicans of dividing the people. It's really the other way around. I think the Democrats are accusing the Democrats are really the ones that are dividing the people, because a lot of the unskilled workers are in minority classes. The Democrats perceive it to be an injustice that they're not earning more money than they're worth. So they push for higher wages. But the reality is that the Republicans, or even classical economists, don't look at somebody based on some trait that they have, like the color of their skin or what they believe. All they look at is how much output they can produce. And if people are not producing, they simply can't get paid more than they're worth. It doesn't work. So the Democrats have seized upon it and saying, look, these people are very unhappy, and they are very unhappy that they don't have good opportunities and they're not making what is, quote, a living wage. They need more wages. Well, the fallacy in that argument is our economic system is not based on paying somebody according to need. Actually, communism is based on that. As Karl Marx said, contribute according to ability, paid according to need. So if you say in capitalism people need more, that's not a valid argument. If you want to earn more, our system, you get paid according to the value of your contribution. So if you want to earn more, you have to figure out a way to contribute more, which is exactly what you and I have both done. I started delivering newspapers at 12 years old, working in my uncle's lumber yard in the summers at 14 years old, and I spent a lot of money. I come from a relatively low-income family. I spent a lot of money on myself getting an education, so I didn't have to worry about a low-skilled or unskilled job, and I can make a greater contribution to the economy. I tell that to my students all the time. Look, the reason you're here is you want to learn how to do something that you're going to enjoy, but that will make a contribution to the economy. And once you make a contribution, you'll get paid according to the value of that contribution.
Absolutely. So well stated. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, this is more of a statement than a question, but when I was 14 years old, which is back in the early 50s, I had a chance to get a job of hauling hay. Now, these bales of hay are, 50 to 75 pounds, and I worked on one side of the wagon loading these from the field, and this other guy who was considerably older than I was on the other side.
Hurry, caller, hurry. I'm almost out of time.
Okay, at the end of the season, or at the end of that crop, I went in to get my paycheck, and he paid me 50 cents an hour, and the guy that worked on the other side of the wagon got $1 an hour. And so I questioned him. I said, why? And he said, well, this guy has a family to feed. Well, this didn't satisfy me, so I went to my dad, and I said, Dad, I want you to do something about this. And he said, well, son, I'll tell you something. You should have established this before you went to work. And I admire my father for his wisdom.
All right, we're going to have Dr. Busler comment on that. Thank you very much, caller. I'm almost out of time. Dr. Busler, go ahead, please.
Can you just repeat that real quickly? I had a little trouble hearing.
Basically, he was saying about the inequity of when he went to work as a young man years and years and years ago, that a man that was married and had a family received more for doing the same job than he did, and the inequity was not fair whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's not. The thing is, while the system pays you according to the value of your output, and if the gentleman was producing the same amount as somebody else, he should have got paid the same amount. The reality is that people are compassionate, and while they see that, okay, I'm supposed to pay it the same, look, this guy's got a wife and kids, it's really not fair for him to get any more, but we're compassionate people, and we sort of bend the rules a little bit because we have hearts. And that's what the difference was.
Let me ask you one final thought here. I've only got 3 minutes left here, Dr. Busler, but I was listening over the weekend to various news programs. Some of the liberal stations are sitting there almost like they want to have pins in their hands so they can burst the bubble of the stock market and see it come tumbling down, thus Trump administration coming down. What are your thoughts about those that say the stock market's going to blow up like a cheap balloon?
I think they're all wrong. Somebody buys a share of stock based on their belief of the future income that company will earn. Because the stock market is going up so much now, because investors, people buying stock, believe that the economy will continue to grow, corporate profits will continue to go up, earnings per share will go up, and dividends go up, and that's why they're willing to pay more. I think, although the stock market has had a big run, as I said last year, if things go as well as I think they're going to go, you could see the Dow Jones Industrial Average hitting as high as 30,000 sometime next year. So I think there's still plenty of upside potential for the stock market as long as we're growing and corporations are earning profits. And remember, too, the corporate tax rate was cut from an average of 35% down to a flat 21%. That alone will increase their earnings. I'm still very optimistic about the economy and the stock market.
And I think the Democrats also are going to hang their hat on. They have nothing but tearing apart our economy. All the more reason for people to get out and really vote in November. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, and I think that I don't think the polls are accurate, and I didn't think the polls were accurate when Trump was running for president. The day before the election, I said the big surprise is I think Trump's going to win. So I don't think these polls are accurate. My prediction for November is the government, the Republicans end up with 57 or 58 senators, maybe more, and they retain control of the House of Representatives. Because when people get into that voting booth, there's a lot in their mind. When they get in there, it's the economy that is most important to them and their financial well-being. There's so many more people doing well today that I can't see them saying, I'm going to take a chance on a Democrat, and that could end up ruining all this good stuff that we've had for the last 2 years.
Absolutely. I really enjoy having this gentleman on the air, a public policy analyst, economics expert, and a professor of finance, Dr. Michael Busler. Sir, you're welcome here anytime. God bless you, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, Zeb. Again, it was my pleasure.
Thank you, sir. A man that really is a straight shooter. I enjoy having him on my program, and that's Dr. Michael Busler, and we're going to make him one of our more frequent guests. I appreciate him. Let's see. I want to remind you, on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days at 10:10 on Thursdays, and of course it's sponsored by A Child's World. A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget, they've got all the Cherokee scrubs, they've got all the fall clothing, they've got all the baby furniture, the baby clothing, they've got everything over there, and they gift wrap for free. So please stop in and see them today. A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you Cassia County School Days on Thursdays at 10:10. Also want to remind you about Syringa Plaza. This is really a nice place with all kinds of amenities like secure key code entry and fire monitoring and water sprinklers, multi-purpose room for activities, all kinds of in-house laundry facilities. The list goes on and on. Syringa Plaza, a lovely and very affordable senior community in Burley, located at 626 Elba Avenue in Burley. Now, I'm going to give you the number. I urge you to call 677-4204. That's right, with the prefix 208, 677-4204. Syringa Plaza, offering low-income seniors maintaining an independent living status. So please call them today. Really, really nice people. Syringa Plaza in Burley, 677-4204. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be back in about 3 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Every year, they look forward to the great big annual Halloween party at Four Paws. Yes, sirree, it's Halloween happening Saturday, October 20th at Four Paws. Don't miss it at 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. Oh, my goodness, free pictures with your pet, great food. They're going to have a costume parade at 12 noon for the pets, all kinds of prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Always is. Halloween happenings for your pets at Four Paws annual Halloween party, Saturday, October 20th, 11 to 2. Don't you miss it. All right. Now we got that out of the way. We're going to jump on over here to our next guest, and I'm very honored to have this gentleman on the program this morning, the director of the documentary, The Creepy Line. And we have with us Matthew Taylor. Matthew, good morning to you.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Well, I've got a whole bunch of questions for you, but before I get started on those questions, I want you to give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of this film, a documentary called The Creepy Line. Give us a little bit of information about it.
Absolutely. The Creepy Line is a feature documentary that basically dives deep into how Facebook and Google use the information they collect from their users to manipulate them, and also exposes how they could use this information to undermine democracy in the United States.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question, Matthew. Are you speaking on a speakerphone?
No, I'm on my phone.
Oh, okay, because it was coming across really hollow, and in that case, I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit. And Wheels, if you can run the gain on him a little bit so I can hear him better, I'd certainly appreciate it. I guess what I'm afraid of more so than anything else today, Matthew, is that I can't go anywhere. I can't go shopping in any store. I think that everybody is watching me, kind of like the old cartoon with the nose over the fence and the eyes watching us all the time. Kilroy was here. Are we that bad now in society that every movement, everything we do is completely seen and made in contact with people that want to sell us something?
Absolutely. In fact, I would say it's even worse because it's one thing to be surveilled because these are surveillance platforms like Google Maps, Gmail, Facebook. These are surveillance platforms. But they've taken it one step further by making these platforms, they've designed them to push our opinions in one way or another. So it's one thing if they were watching and collecting. Now they are actually moving us towards, whether it be candidates, automobiles, music services. It is now, we're in a state of manipulation.
A state of manipulation. Now, is all of this, and pardon my naivete, but is all of this basically kind of geared back or pointing a finger at the evolution and the acceptance of the smartphone?
I mean, we've always had a form of advertising. We've always had people trying to push our opinions in one way or another. The big difference now is that in the past, you could see it. You can see the advertisement for the Honda. You could see the billboard on the side of the road, and you can make the choice to not engage. But now, these are manipulations you can't see at all. And the cell phone or the smartphone did help bring those platforms to a greater number of people. But, whether it's a smartphone or your own computer, I think, even your automobile has sensors and GPS and things in it, and Google is in some cars. So any platform that you interact with that has a computer in it can be used as a device to surveil you.
Why? I guess that's an obvious, naive question, but why? Why are Google and anyone else wanting to know everything about me, everything about my buying habits, everything about my political stance? Why?
Well, initially this is a business model. It's the surveillance capitalist model. The idea is that they can collect your data and they can sell your data at a very, very premium cost to an advertiser. And that's really kind of how it started. But it has evolved into selling your data also to governments and or law enforcement in some instances. And so essentially you have the classic model of the evil corporation, if you'd like to say. Apple and Microsoft sell product. They sell phones. They sell Windows or Office. These newer companies don't sell products. The fact of the matter is we are the actual product, our data. So the thing is that they are selling us to whoever the buyer is. And the problem is we don't know who the buyer is, and we don't know what the buyer's motives are. Most of the time it's to get you to buy something. But what if their motives were different? What if it was to vote a certain way or change a policy? We don't know their motives because they are not transparent companies in any way whatsoever.
How do they go about doing this? I mean, again, you're going to think you're talking to a guy that's as dumb as a rock, but how do they do and offer this manipulation so that they can control us? What's the how in the story?
Well, it's interesting because part of it has to do with something we do every day, and that's just searching on the Google search engine. I mean, put it in this perspective. You share more information with Google than you would share with your spouse or your best friend because you're asking the search engine intimate questions about all sorts of things all day long, every single day. How do I get to this place? What's the best weight loss program? Why do I feel sick? How many calories these are all things that we ask the search engine, and every time we ask, we get those options back and we click on them. They're all being collected and tracked. And they're creating profiles on ourselves. I would argue that in some ways Google probably knows more about you than you know about yourself, simply by the connections between all of your daily things you do that have accumulated over many years. And the thing is that we are conditioned to look for information. And look, a lot of the times we just want an answer. What's the capital of Kansas, or how long does it take to get to this location? But that all those bits and pieces of information create a profile that Google uses to push you in one way or the other. Maybe they don't want you to go to this location because they want you to go somewhere else. So they may make suggestions, and you may say, oh, well, I'm going to go this way. Or they won't show you certain options. And that's where the censorship comes in.
Are we at a point in mankind's history, Matthew, where there is no return, there is no erasing, there is no starting over? Are we completely controlled and manipulated from now on, generations to come?
I mean, we are in a stage where we are unsure of what this all means. This is really the first time where we're all starting to sit down and go, well, what does it mean to get a free email address? What is the real cost of that? It's not just me being able to communicate. I'm giving up parts of my information that I'll never be able to get back. What is the ramifications of all these kinds of things converging at this point in history? And I think that, like any great innovative leap, and look, Google and Facebook did many great things. The information available and the bringing people together is amazing and awesome. But the thing is that there needs to be transparency, because we don't really know what the future holds with these companies. And frankly, we don't even know what the solution is at this point, because if you break Google up, what does that mean if they are involved in communication, education, transportation? It's not that simple of a solution. So we're going to have to be very cautious with how we proceed in trying to figure out how to deal with this issue.
As the director of this movie, The Creepy Line, how did you sit down, and I've been in television and radio for the last 40-odd plus years, and I've put together storylines for various documentaries myself and also television shows, etc. How did you go about mapping out how and what you wanted the public to know?
Well, I think the first thing was for people to understand that these companies have perspectives, and that they have how the technology works was the very first thing to map, right? So when I use the Google search engine, there are two biases that happen automatically. Number one, if I search for what's the best dog food, it has to look through all of the different pages and make a selection. And then, that's bias number one. Number two, it has to put them in an order. Right? And so it was very important for people to understand the fundamentals of those two functions. And from that point on, the film can then explain, well, that's one thing about dog food, but what if I ask it about what's the best candidate, right? The engine has to make a decision. It has to put one in front of the other. And the question is, who wrote the engine and why does it do what it does? And that brings us into the undermining democracy section. And so if Google has a perspective and they want you to move in a certain way towards a certain political view, well, the engine, by design, is designed to do that. And we're not aware of it. And that's really what the film does. It breaks it down into very straightforward, easily digestible packets that you can sit there and say, oh, now I understand that. I searched for this thing. There is a bias. This is not a meritocracy. It's not just something coming out of nowhere. It's not the most popular. It is by design. It is picked and chosen and given to me by this private company, by the way, that has no accountability to me or the voter or anybody.
Matthew, when you were doing this film and doing the directing and discerning what was going to be in, what was not going to be in, this Orwellian control over the American public, what scared you the most when you were putting this film together?
Well, I've always been a technology person. I followed the rise of Google and Facebook for many years. I'm absolutely fascinated with how they do it. What scared me was the fact that they are so integrated into our everyday lives that there is currently not a clear solution on how to deal with it. That's what scared me. It wasn't as simple as, again, like I said earlier, break them up or turn them into a public utility or any of these solutions. These are not solutions that are thought through well enough to deal with how integrated they are in our lives. we cannot get away from them. They are part of us. And by damaging them or something along those lines, we are in a way damaging ourselves. And so that is what scares me more than anything. I hope that we can find a solution. People can start by just not using some of these products or being more skeptical. But we're really going to have to proceed carefully, or else we could cause massive damage to parts of our economy and our society, because they are integrated all the way.
You said something a moment ago that just absolutely struck fear in my heart. You said we cannot get away from this. Wow, that is kind of a finalization of where mankind is headed. We're all going to be robots, the way you talk.
Well, for years, we automation and innovation is a great thing. And there was the horse and buggy to the automobile, or the invention of the airplane, or the invention of the mechanized war, or nuclear power. There's always two sides to every big, massive innovation. There's a good side and there's a bad side. And the thing is like, it's great to have all the information and it's great to have access, but, is it good to have all of that in the hands of one company that we have no idea what they're doing? And here's the thing. It's very important to understand that we opted into this relationship. They didn't do it by force or anything like that. We signed up. That's kind of the crux of the thing. We are the gasoline to their engine. We signed in. We opted in. And so they, sit there and go, look, we gave you free services. If you signed up, you took the goods. This is the cost. And we all have to sit down and go, well, we need to figure out what to do.
When people watch this film, The Creepy Line, what is the it that you want them to take away from watching this film?
Well, first of all, they need to become aware. That's number one. They need to know that, obviously everybody jokes about, don't believe everything you read on the internet. That's one thing, but at least you can read it, at least you can see it. What these companies are doing is invisible. You cannot see it. And even if you are aware of it, it's hard to detect. So people have to start with having a healthy dose of skepticism before they sign up for something, whether it's a free email, whether it's downloading an app, whether it's creating a Facebook account, whether it's putting pictures of their newborn toddlers on Facebook. That in and of itself has become a huge trend. Your kids' lives are forever locked into this platform. You've given them over. So that's number one. We all need to stop using certain things, stop using Gmail, stop using Android, stop using these surveillance platforms, and then eventually we need to move on to pushing our lawmakers to, deal with this issue. The EU has taken this issue more seriously than the United States. I'm not saying I particularly agree with some of their methods, but they do take it very seriously, and we haven't taken it seriously at all. And we need to make sure that there's a separation between these private companies that control all this information and our federal government. And people need to be aware of that. So I want people to walk away from the film with those points in mind, so that they are actively involved in finding this solution.
Tell everyone listening right now how they can sit down and view this documentary called The Creepy Line.
Well, The Creepy Line is available on Amazon Prime and also on iTunes right now. You can go watch it, download it, you can share it. Also, thecreepyline.com is our website, which will probably have limited screenings around the country. But for now, if you want to go see the movie, you can look up The Creepy Line on iTunes and Amazon and watch it literally right now.
Let me ask you this question. When you finished the documentary called The Creepy Line and you sat back and you saw the net result of all your effort and work, did you say to yourself, ooh, I wished we'd have stuck that in there, oh, I wished we'd have put this in there, or are you planning a follow-up?
Well, as a filmmaker, you always wish you did this or did that. We are going to be releasing additional content that did not fit the thematics of the film. There were some stories about the FTC and things that didn't work into the film, but we will be releasing those as additional pieces of content that people can watch and share on, of all places, Facebook if you like, and so that people can see the other stories that didn't make it into the project. I think the follow-up will play out on Capitol Hill. That's where we're going to see things happening. We're going to see things, where these lawmakers are going to sit down and go, what are these companies doing with or the citizens' data and things like that. So, I think it's their turn to kind of work through these solutions now.
Matthew, I really wish you a lot of success, and I'm so glad that you put together this film, this documentary called The Creepy Line. I am really anxious to sit down and view it, and upon doing so, I'm going to probably call you back in a little while, a couple of weeks, and have you back on the program. But thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a huge pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Enjoyed it. Matthew Taylor, the director of The Creepy Line. And if anybody has questions on how to see it and view it, I've got all the information right here. And I've often wondered, how in the world we can ever get out of this freeway of people knowing, businesses knowing so much about us, and everywhere we go, everything we do. I really can't wait to see this movie. Caller, real quick, I've got time for one quick call. Go ahead, please.
Quick question. I think a lot of people are uninformed, like myself. I'm really interested in this, and other people would be too. But if you don't have access to a computer or lines or anything, how are we supposed to find out this stuff?
You know what? That's a very, very good question. You mean in regards to the film?
Well, any of it, all this online stuff, if you don't have availability to it, you're sitting out here, and we don't have any way of getting the information. And I would like to see some form of information that we can pull up as not having the equipment to do it with.
You bring to mind a really good question, and I am not, and I never said I was, anything to do with computers or anything on the internet, etc. I am going to call this gentleman back, and I'm going to ask him if there's other ways and means to observe this and find out the information in this film, and I'll have that for you hopefully tomorrow on the program. How's that?
That would be great. I know there's a lot of other people besides myself who are interested in this, but they don't have access to the information.
Sir, I appreciate your call, and I want to wish you a very good day, and thank you for giving us that thought this morning. Thank you.
You bet, man. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you. Nice man right there. Oh, the weather forecast. Wheels is sitting there going, holy moly, Zeb, have you looked at the clock lately? Well, yes, I have. I'm running a little bit behind. Our weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Oh, you better believe it. The reason I'm hesitating here is my staple pulled out of all these papers, and I got like 30 papers stapled together. Not anymore. Anyway, Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, boy, delicious meats. Prime ribs and tri-tips and marinated pork ribs and buckboard bacon and bratwurst. Oh, the list goes on and on. Absolutely delicious meats from really, really good folks. Don Scarrow and his crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're in a frost warning for this morning, and, of course, we're expecting some rain showers in the forecast this week. Here's a look at your weather forecast for us up at the ranch. For this Columbus Day Monday, we are in a frost warning that is going to be in effect until about 10 o'clock this morning. Other than that, looks like sunny skies for today. High at 57. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 32. Tomorrow, in come the rain showers, mostly in the afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. We are expecting a high of 53. Those rain showers are going to continue for tomorrow night. The winds are going to be picking up. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. We're expecting a low of 35. By Wednesday, 40% chance of showers in the forecast, mostly in the morning time, mostly cloudy skies, and we're expecting a high of 52, 20% chance of rain showers for Wednesday night with a low of 33. Then by Thursday, hopefully we're going to see a little bit of sunshine and expecting a high of 52. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and the weather brought to you this hour by our good friends, Don Scarrow and his great, great staff at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call them, 324-7657. Delicious meats. As a matter of fact, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrows Meats. Great people. Wow. we have had a lot of good information on the program this morning. Tomorrow, we've got all kinds of good folks. Frosty Wolder is going to be on. Stoats Equipment's going to be on. Dr. History. We've got a guest that's going to be on for Dr. History tomorrow from New York State, John Hagedorn, and he's going to be talking about the real truth of Billy the Kid. So we've got that on tomorrow morning, along with your phone calls. So it should be a lot of fun tomorrow on Zeb at the Ranch. And somebody's going to say to me, who's on at 10:30? I don't know yet. I haven't figured that one out. Don't forget a great big fall tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a really big fall tire sale on your car, pickup, SUV, and trailer tires. Absolutely. On sale for the cars like the Eclipse tire. Premium traction, superior ride quality. Excellent tire, just $91.19. Stop in and check out all the great tires like the Backcountry All-Terrain tire for your pickups and SUVs, along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. And I urge you heard the weather forecast getting cooler and cooler and cooler in those early morning hours. Don't forget, you need a good battery, so check it out, and they've got the best right there at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I hope you had a great weekend. We did. And we're looking forward to another great week right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Your calls and your comments are always appreciated. And tomorrow I want to finish talking a little bit about the sickness of this high school in Mississippi with that portrayal of the band members having a skit at halftime of shooting of police officers. This is so pathetic and completely out of hand. We're going to talk a little bit about that on tomorrow's program. Until then, we always say at the end of the show, the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.